Welcome to Everything Life Coaching. I'm John Kim.
And I'm Noelle Cordeaux. We are the founders of Lumia.
And we're super passionate about all things coaching, and we want to share what we've learned from over a decade of coaching and training thousands of life coaches.
Let's dive into the science and magic of coaching.
On today's episode, Noelle and I are going to talk about relational fitness coaching, an antidote to the loneliness epidemic. I have no idea what this is, so thank God Noelle is here. All right.
I know.
It sounds amazing.
Honestly, it is amazing, and you're going to enjoy this one because it's both of our wheelhouses as far as coaching goes. So I follow coaching trends. This comes to us from the Global Wellness Summit, one of my favorite sources of information for all things wellness. And this was extrapolated from a bunch of research that I've been doing on what are the newest niches in coaching and where are things really blowing up in the world in 2023 in real time. And one of the things that's happening is a booming business in relational fitness coaching.
What is relational fitness coaching?
Yes, it's basically coaches or other professionals that are helping other people develop the skills they need to build meaningful connection to other people.
Yeah.
It seems so basic, but why are we talking about this? Why is this happening now? The pandemic, dun, dun, dun. This has obviously caused so much havoc in our world, continues to cause havoc. But given the pandemic as one point, divisive politics, quite honestly, as another, and technology, where we're always on our phones or our computers, people are seeing each other in person less than in any other point in history.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about the generation that grew up with tech and FaceTime and all of that text. They're not used to in person, so they don't even know. They don't even like this is normal for them, as opposed to like me growing up. Even when I was growing up early in my 20s, teens, high school, to ask someone out on a date, there was no internet, no apps or anything. You actually had to do something in person. Muster up the courage to ask someone out. The kids today, that's not even a thing.
No.
Maybe it is, but not really.
Well, you can. I mean, I see a lot of like videos of people with cute little signs, like, "Will you come to the prom with me?" So I think that's happening. We're making signs, but
mostly to DM or a swipe.
100%, 100%. So this is one of the realities that we face in our world today. Another reason that this is happening right now is that empathy rates, being able to empathize with another person, have been steadily dropping since 1979.
Wait, why is that?
I think it's because of technology. I think it's because of the disintegration of the fabric of society. Like, we really don't have a civic minded society anymore. We don't have communal watering holes. You might see your neighbors at the post office, but when was the last time you actually went to a post office, John?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or lick the stamp, or not even lick the stamp. There's stickers now, right?
Yeah. But and just, it's like stuff like that. Like, we don't have communal gathering points like we used to. People aren't going to places like church as much. Activities have been kind of commodified. So there's just been a huge decrease in empathy on a global scale, and that has resulted in the fact that people are legitimately scared to talk to each other.
Also, I got to say, we are more impatient now because everything is instant gratification. So with humans, you have to be patient in order for empathy to even, enter. If you're impatient, you're also probably not listening, not being there and in your head. And so, there's a disconnection,
Absolutely. And it breaks down further. People are a 2022 poll. 25% of people now feel anxious about socializing. And if we get even more specific on that, it's the point of not knowing what to say or how to interact. Those are
Yeah,
the
it's
2
so
things.
sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and it's because people don't know how to be friends anymore. That is the
Mm.
crux of all of this, and that is why relational fitness coaching is popping up.
How do you for, anyone listening, you're like, "You know what? I don't even know if I know how to be friends anymore." What are what's some primer to be friends?
Well, I mean, gosh,
Empathy,
empathy.
um, connection, honesty, vulnerability, all of these, like, kind of big human words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's a huge measure of getting over yourself, right?
Mm, mhm.
Um, and I don't say that in a way to detract from folks because in our society, there's this idea of toxic individualism.
Yeah.
Technology certainly doesn't help, where you're able to hide behind your phone, you're able to hide behind your screen and posture and project and
Mhm.
make a mirage of this is who I am, this is how I want to present myself to the world. And smack on the other side of that is shame and fear that
Mhm.
someone will find out that you're not as cool as you present, that you're not as cool as you say you are, that you're not as funny as your online quips, right? And so, in order to actually have a real friendship with each other, with someone, with anyone, you have to be willing to be imperfect and weird and
Yeah.
gross and like not normal because none of us are normal. We're all
Right.
weirdos.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes, people feel less alone. I think, also, cancel culture being, very fast to judging and making assumptions about people is definitely not helping.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And when I was looking at the work of relational fitness coaching, it is so simplistic because the core of it is empathy, but the other piece of it is straight up active listening, which is
Mm.
one of the core
Mhm.
features of coaching and of coach training. That is one of the first things that you learn as a coach. And that is what's happening in this space right now. The people who founded Peloton, or not Peloton, I have it wrong. I'm going to say this like a line again. The people who founded Soul Cycle,
Mhm.
Elizabeth Cutler and Julie Rice, spent 16 years kind of taking a look at everything, and what they're doing now is they started a new venture where they're having people come and do 60-minute guided group conversations. It's called
Wow.
Peoplehood. That's their new venture. So instead of
Wait, they're in
bites,
person?
yeah,
Oh,
it can
wow.
be, yeah, it can be in person or it can be virtual.
Uh-huh.
And everybody gets a chance to talk freely and listen deeply. Nobody's
Mm.
allowed to interrupt and everybody has to express support, and if you want to you can make silent gestures, but like those are the ground rules. And this is a business that is in development, it's operating now, and this is what we're doing.
Mhm.
And so essentially these are listening circles which have been around,
Yeah. Yeah, they're
sing
they're
in.
they're trying to, instead of, physical fitness, they're doing mental emotional fitness or creating
That's
space for that.
exactly it.
Yeah.
Hence relational fitness,
Mhm.
hence what it is. And so I was taking a look at this and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like these are such simple concepts that are being monetized by people using coaching skills. There was a New York Times article that addressed the need how to make friends as an adult.
Mhm.
And it went viral. Then have you ever heard of the term Schadenfreude?
Schatten what?
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. What is it?
Scha Schadenfreude is your ability to find joy in another's fortune,
Mm, that's
right?
very rare. I've
Really?
I mean, maybe because I live in Los Angeles, no, I mean, I have
Maybe.
friends, of course, that and also myself when, things happen to people that we care about and love, yeah, I'm happy for them and joy, but overall, I mean, most people are, like, judgment jealous and, you know, "Why can't that
I
happen to me?" And, all that stuff.
I think that's actually symptomatic of what's going on in society because it's
Mm.
that toxic individualism that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if I can't do it by myself, I'm
Yeah.
wrong or bad. And then when you hear good news about somebody else, you automatically turn the mirror back on yourself and put yourself down.
Right, right. Internalize that. Think you're less
This is
than.
why we have relational fitness coaching now because of this
Mm.
exact problem.
Yes, and also, it just also tells me there's not only a need for it, but there's more opportunity for coaches to do something specific like this.
Oh, yeah. It turns out that Schadenfreude is actually really good for you, and
Mm.
it gives you a tremendous physical and mental health benefits, and there is now training on it that you can go and take training on how to find joy in other people's success.
Wow, it reminds me of the of gratitude.
Mhm.
You know? Yeah.
Which is a really powerful practice, and if we think about, functional relationships and how functional communities work, how functional families work,
Hmm.
if one person is experiencing joy or success, that tends to have truly positive impact for the whole. And so I don't know where we got off track as a society in thinking that that's somehow a bad thing because it's really goes against the grain of what collectivism
Yeah.
actually is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even like you and I, we're friends and but we're business partners. So, like, if something good happens to me or something good happens to you, guess what? It benefits the other, just period.
Do you think capitalism has somehow laid tracks with this of in our
Yeah,
inability to be happy for other people when they're successful?
I do. I do. I mean, I could say that that might go back to the way that, designer goods were developed as a way to, like, show your worth, that you
Hmm.
have to be able to afford a certain thing in order to have that outward expression. I also think, commercialism, like actual commercials, advertising
Hmm.
has a hand in that because there's the entire infrastructure industry that now social media has kind of been built on the back, head, and shoulders of that says you're supposed to look a certain way,
Yeah.
act a certain
Yeah.
way, present these things, and then you'll have some reward or payoff. Um, but there really isn't a reward or payoff, at least not one
Hmm.
that I've ever been able to discern with real staying power.
Yeah. And also, I think inflation is frustrating a lot of people because the cost of living is just crazy. And so, if you're in that kind of space and good things are happening to people around you, you just kind of feel like you're drowning more and more. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I think that this might also be why trends like this are taking off, is because the commercial things are no longer bringing the satisfaction that they promise, and
Hmm.
people are taking a hard look in the mirror and saying, "You know what? I'm really lonely."
Yeah. And not only
And
am I own lonely, but this is maybe what I want is different. Maybe it's not about the expensive watch or the corner office. Maybe I can find things of value that are in experiences or something that is relational.
yeah, and I don't know what you are seeing in the world, but this particular time in 2023, it seems like everybody's really having a hard time. Like,
Yeah.
most of the people that I know are having a hard time. Are you seeing the same thing?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think living in the city where things are crazy expensive,
Mm.
I'm seeing that all around me. You know,
Yeah, and
just
for
people
me,
barely getting by. You know, barely just kind of like survival mode.
and it's not just economic. I think what my observation is we came through the pandemic, or at least the lockdown uncertainty phase of the pandemic. And then 2022 was like, rip the band-aid off, woohoo, get back into the world. And then there's this collective trauma that was just never dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the painful gaps that were open from systemic inequality were never resolved. And, as you're saying, like, it's just inflation has kind of run away. And then even looking at injustice, like with George Floyd, like that was never
Hmm.
resolved. Like all the
Yeah.
problems are just still ongoing, and all of the things that we were trying to do to get back to some sort of like normal existence haven't worked.
Yeah.
And so this is an opportunity that we have as coaches to bring people together in these circles for listening and for self-discovery. And I wanted to get your perspective on this because I know that you've been having retreats and working in groups. And speaking of Schadenfreude, joy in other people's experiences, when I was learning about peoplehood and the guided group conversations that revolve around active listening, I was like, oh, that's really, interesting. And then I was wondering how I would feel as a practitioner moving into a space with a bunch of strangers and really having these deep experiences with them. So what has it been like for you?
Can I just say, I just as you're asking me this, I just had a thought. Uh, all my coaches adventure coach Sarah Williams, Paul Shame, Brandon, who does breath work, they're all Lumia graduates.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really that's meaningful to me. It's great. I love it. Keeping it in the family. Um, I was not a retreat person. I had no interest in retreats, and for fun, I ran a men's retreat just for fun because we have this little house in Idlewild, very intimate. And from that experience, I realized, oh my gosh, this is so needed. And the men, they left just so moved, and they came in so thirsty. And I think it's a direct reflection of what you're talking about,
Mhm.
where the world is at, what we're all craving. And so because of that, I was like, oh, I'm just going to do these backyard retreats, just
Yeah.
2 hours away. I don't have to get on a plane. It doesn't have to be, lavish with massages. And it's just really like back to the basics, like summer camp. And what's really cool about that is it really goes back to just foundational human connection. Um, you may not be friends with this person, but in this space, there's openness and communication and some kind of collision where people are leaving with a shift. And so I've been witnessing the power of that. I've run already like three, and I'm just going to keep doing it every few months because I feel like the world needs this. And yeah, I'm seeing the in their eyes, I'm seeing how thirsty they are for this, and it's probably because of just the temperature of the world today.
Oh, yeah. And how do you protect yourself? How do you protect your energy as a practitioner, moving
Oh,
into this
a
space of
team, so it's not just me. Because
yeah.
you're right. It's important for me to not. Um, I didn't want it to be like another thing I have to do, get burnt out, run group sessions, which I've been doing for my entire life where I don't like it anymore. So, yes. So Lumia coaches, bringing in friends, rock stars. And then we all kind of like the adventures. We all have our strengths. And so whether it's Sarah taking them on a guided hike or me doing a process group on relationships or, Brandon doing breath work, it's us collectively, even the team, helping instead of just me doing it, and made it so that's made it enjoyable for me where it doesn't feel like work.
I mean, just this conversation is like proving the outcome of this work and like why it's necessary. So what I'm hearing from you is that one of the most important things if you're working with clients in this way is to have a team of other people with you that you actually
Hmm.
like. That
Yes, that you like, that you enjoy their company.
And then, the other thing that I'm hearing loud and clear is that Lumia coaches are the best,
Yes.
and I've actually heard that from a couple of different, groups that utilize Lumia coaches, that they're just a really amazing set of people, and I couldn't agree more. And what I'm hearing from you too is, like, taking breaks so that, like, you
Hmm.
switch off, so that, like,
Yes.
when
Yes.
one person's on, the other's off, and you actually, get that downtime. Is there anything that you wish you had known, before going into your first experience?
You know what I have proven to myself is that retreats over the years have become or can be bougie, and Costa Rica, Bali, all these kind of, you find yourself by going to another country and having these very exotic experiences. And I have proven to myself that that is not needed. We
Yeah.
rent too many vans, we meet at a hotel, like it's just up in the woods, and it's just all you need is open-minded people, a safe space, good coaches, and good food. The food is for sure.
Food.
Yes, food is there at the top, but that's all you need, and the magic happens. And so, what's not needed is anything fancy.
Yeah. So kind of bridging off of this trend, and thank you so much for sharing your own experience. Implicit in this, relational skills coaching is this idea of circles.
Mm-hmm.
To what extent do you utilize like circles, conversation, sharing, and listening in your retreats?
Yeah, that's all it is. It's that, and then somatic experiences. So whether it's an ice plunge
Awesome.
or a guided, so it's a combination of this relational fitness circles, right? Um, Without the expensive drop-in fee, and then nourishment, amazing food by a chef, and then the uh, the somatic in nature. And I think the combination of all three makes it really magical. It really feels like summer camp back when you were, 12 years old or 15 or whenever you had that magical summer.
Oh yeah. 100%. And it's not, I'm glad that it feels like magic, but it's not magic. Where
Yeah,
where this
it
fits
feels like magic
in.
because we don't have it in our lives.
Right,
Yeah.
it does, exactly, and
Hmm.
when I was taking a look at this, and I, of course, where my mind goes is like, okay, frameworks, academics, evidence-based, like, where
Hmm.
does this show up? Um, for me, it was Martin Seligman's PERMA model,
Hmm.
where positive relationships is one of 5 elements for human flourishing,
Yeah.
and, like, that's just at the core of it. So if there's somebody out there who's thinking about becoming a coach, or is one of our Lumia graduates or students, or wants to join a program, and you and I have both built very beautiful careers
Hmm.
all around relationships.
Yep.
What advice would you give folks who are at the starting line of thinking about doing this work?
To actually to do before thinking, because if you think too much, there's going to be fear that leaks in, and then you're not going to do. And so just go, take the step, get yourself
Yeah.
into a classroom or a retreat or whatever. Give your body the experience where you're like, oh, I love this, or I could do this. Because if you get lost in thinking, usually the thing that you want or that you need or that you deserve drifts further and further away.
Mm. Yeah, and I would say that something I've observed, even in myself and transparently, I'm an off the charts extrovert. I'm pretty optimistic just naturally, and I like people. But
Hmm.
I have experienced sometimes fear or resistance
Mm.
before going into a session with a new client, or
Yeah,
going
yeah.
in to work with a group, or going in to teach a class, and that's totally normal. Um, but when I'm actually in the space and in the presence of another human, it's really easy to love people.
Mm.
And it's really easy to understand that we're all just the same weirdos.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel hard in the moment. When you're
Hmm.
in the moment, it's actually quite, beautiful.
All of this is a form of loving people. Just
It
simply
really
put,
is.
it's a form of loving people. Yeah.
It's a form of loving people, and I think it's a beautiful, I think it's a beautiful trend that we're experiencing as healthcare
Hmm.
professionals. Like, if this is where coaching is going, alleluia,
Yeah.
because we need to build connectivity, as a society. Like, I think about, like, Logan, like, she hasn't
Mhm.
figured out how to be freaked out yet, you know?
Right.
like she's still in her little magical age, and
Yeah.
I really want the world to be different for her.
Mm.
Um, So we all need to hold hands now to make sure that that can happen.
Thank you for the reminder. And if this resonates or it speaks to you in some way, answer that call. That call is coming from inside the house.
Yes. And put out your shingle. Go be a relational coach. We need more.
Thank you for listening. Be well.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to Everything Life Coaching. If you're feeling the draw to become a coach, head to lumiacoaching.com/everything. Explore a new career that brings fulfillment, gives you a true sense of purpose, and a bold community to do it with.
Lumia is ready to equip you with the tools, training, and community you will need to reach your goals. If you're ready to build a unique coaching business on your own terms while making an impact on the world at large, Lumia is the next bold step in your coaching journey. That's lumiacoaching.com/everything.
And hey, if you're waiting for a sign, this is it.